Welcome. I'm Liz Taylor, ocean explorer, naturalist, and entrepreneur.
I'm Sylvia Earle. I'm an oceanographer, explorer with the National Geographic, founder of Mission Blue, and I'm an ocean elder. Thank you, ocean elders, for sponsoring this program.
And this is our program, Dive In, where we host informal and open conversations with the ocean community from around the world and lots of topics of wonder and interest. You can ask questions by putting them in the Q&A box, and we will get to as many as we can through the conversation. And we want to remind everyone as we get started that the world
Is
blue. Blue.
Yeah.
Today, we are so grateful and excited to have our friend Wendy Benchley joining us. Wendy's a renowned global voice for protecting sharks and the ocean at large. More than 50 years of diving experience, she has been a witness, just like us, to the fundamental changes in ocean health and marine habitats. She co-founded the Benchley Ocean Awards, known as the Academy Awards of the Ocean, and recognize works in marine conservation. Welcome, Wendy.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for asking me. I'm delighted to be with you.
Well, I'm going to attempt to share my screen.
aha.
Aha, amazing. I think it worked. That was smooth this time. Shocking. But yeah, we're just really eager to dive in here with you and tell us a little bit about the kind of the start of your adventures with
Oh, my start. So what you're seeing there is Al Hirschfeld, a cartoon or a line drawing of my husband and his very literary family. His grandfather was Robert Benchley, of Algonquin Round Table fame with Dorothy Parker, and he was a writer for many magazines in New York. And then Peter's father was also a novelist, Nathaniel Benchley, and you might know of him through his book, The Off Islanders, because it was made into a movie called The Russians Are Coming, The Russians Are Coming. It was pretty good. It was a good movie. And then there's Peter with his big glasses on, and then with even bigger glasses, Nat Benchley, his younger brother, who is an actor. So a wonderful family to be born into.
and what a great drawing. It's amazing. It's like one of your favorite hotels is the Algonquin with the cat.
Yeah, yeah.
The Algonquin in New York City.
Yes.
In New York City, yeah. So that's a shot of Peter at the typewriter, which he loved. He really loved the isolation of being at the typewriter and getting a story onto the page. And there's a wonderful quick story about how smart his dad was, his father, a writer, because he said to Peter in Nantucket, they went to Nantucket for oh, and there's the writer's block. They went to Nantucket for the summers, and his dad said, "Okay, Peter, if you want to be a novelist, you need to get up every morning, or I'll pay you what you would make mowing lawns this summer if you get up every morning at 7 o'clock." Now he was a teenager, a 15-year-old. Get up at 7 o'clock, get out there to the workroom, and sit down and write for either 4 hours or 1,000 words, whichever comes first. I won't read what you write, but you got to produce. And Peter really loved the isolation and getting what was in his head onto the paper. And his dad was a great wit, so he carved him this executioner's block and put on it writer's block. So Peter kept it on his desk to ward away the evils of
Procrastination.
procrastination. We
Yeah.
all know about those evils.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, they are evil for sure. And then the time at the White
Oh,
House.
and then yeah. So, oh gosh. So he was working for Newsweek, and I'm trying not to tell this story about how he got hired because it's a longer story and there's
Yeah.
so much to talk about when it comes to the ocean. But he was hired from Newsweek to come down and be a speechwriter for President Johnson. So there he is across from, you can see
That's
him
a,
across
that's a
from
look.
LBJ. Yeah. So and
Great.
so we were there, fascinating time, 2 years in Washington, and then Johnson said he was not going to run again, and so Peter was out of a job, and he decided that it was his one chance to do some freelance writing. So we actually, my parents helped us buy a little house in Pennington, and go back, because people always want to know how Peter thought of this idea to have a great white shark that just hung around a community, and caused a little chaos. So he had always, well, first of all, he had done a lot of shark fishing in Nantucket with his dad. And because if they ever caught a bass or a blue, there were sharks there to grab it before they could get it into the boat
Yeah.
half the time. So he had these ideas in his head, and he was fascinated with sharks. And he went to the publisher at Doubleday and said, "Okay, I'm not making enough freelance writing, and I've got these two ideas, one about modern day pirates and one about a great white shark that sort of hangs around and causes some chaos." And the publisher liked the fish story, which is what they love to call it, the fish story. So I'll just whip off quickly to the side here and say that people always ask me also about the title Jaws. And
Right.
yeah, I mean, how did we ever come up with the title Jaws? And it was getting time to publish the book, and we had done 4 or 5 pages of different titles, and some were scary, like The Terror from the Deep, and some were pretentious, like Leviathan Rising. And Peter's dad, who was quite a wit, said, "I've got the right idea. I'll tell you what you should call it. What's that noshing on my leg?" So that was not appropriate. And they finally figured the only word they actually thought was pretty good was Jaws. And
Jaws.
yeah, as
Jaws.
Steven Spielberg says, okay, it could have been a book about a dentist. I mean, why would anybody think that Jaws was actually a book about a great white shark? So, in any case, that's how we got the title.
That's awesome. I always tell people that there are no shark attacks. There are only fish bite accidents.
You're absolutely right. I say that all the time too, and I always talk about the fact that we're so bony. Even those of us who are not quite so bony are too bony for sharks.
Yeah, we just don't taste good, but the problem
Yeah.
is that, we kind of we're frail and weak in the water and so, we bleed
Well,
a lot.
here's the thing. Sharks have been around for 400 million years.
Years. Yeah.
And we are newcomers. We're not on their menu, but they sadly have come to be on ours.
hmm hmm Yeah.
I,
Yeah. We are the big predators, honestly. We
Absolutely.
we are the ultimate predator in the ocean. So this Liz just popped up a photo of us on the set in Martha's Vineyard, which was really fun. And here's a 27-year-old Spielberg talking to Peter, who was only 34. Peter looks so chubby there. I can't quite believe it. And but we did have fun, and we hung out with Richard Dreyfuss and Robert. There's Dreyfuss and Peter. Peter was the reporter on the beach, this little tiny cameo part that he had.
Yeah.
Um, and Dreyfuss was a funny guy, so we did have a good time with him. And then I think there's a photo also of us with Roy Scheider, and that's
Yeah.
me with the long, skinny black hair and cute little Clay Benchley down at the bottom there. He was about 5. And
Wow.
then, yeah, and then of course Robert Shaw was on set, and Peter really had fascinating conversations with him. I shied away from him because he was a pretty prickly character. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
yeah,
In
brilliant,
reality,
brilliant actor, but yeah, a little bit tough.
you do
So
not have to very much.
no.
yeah. And the set was great fun. Um, but as I'm sure you all have heard, it was a miserable time for Steven Spielberg because the shark hardly ever worked. Um, and that's a great shot, isn't it? We had a shark. I love that because that actually shows you how unreal the shark
Oh
was
yeah.
in this
Yeah.
movie. I mean,
And
it's a very good example of of how Spielberg thought, okay, We need to have a giant shark to be a monster and to get the fear going. And that was one thing that Peter fought hard against. Gosh, he really wanted this shark to be a 15, maybe 16-foot real shark.
Right.
But Spielberg was the movie magic man, and he knew that it couldn't be 15 feet, it had to be 25 feet.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Bigger than
so
life.
yeah,
Bigger than
you know,
life.
there's a really fun story about that because Spielberg wanted to have real footage. And so he hired Ron and Val Taylor to go down to Australia and do some real footage. Well, how would you make a 15-foot shark look like it's 25 feet? You would hire a very small stuntman. And when the shark goes by the cage, a 15-footer looks like 25 feet.
Sure.
Voila.
Yeah. Little smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Really,
awesome.
it was a smart move. Very, very smart move.
Yeah. Well, this one, when we were little kids, she took us to see Jaws in the movie theater, and of course, we spent so much time as kids around sharks that we really saw this as being a very implausible shark. So we were laughing,
Yeah,
it kind
good
of
for you. Good for
you're
you.
cracking up, and you're like, oh, and everybody else is screaming.
Yeah, yeah,
You're like, oh,
yeah.
look at
You
that.
know, it is fascinating the different approaches to the movie
Yeah.
and to the book. Some people tell me that they were more terrified reading the book than seeing the movie. So good for them. They've got a very active imagination.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, but I think the 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 book and the movie um, did scare people.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely, it did
Yeah.
scare people.
I mean,
And that fear was fascination to 50, 60% of the people. And honestly, the fascination jump-started shark research and sort of interest in sharks and getting back to the excitement of the ocean again. And Peter got so many letters talking about from people saying, I want to be Hooper. I now understand that I can be a scientist and I can really have fun out on the ocean and I don't have to be in a white coat in a lab. So that was I think a wonderful and important result of Jaws, that the fascination turned into research and also, of course, we all know this was the 70s where
mhm.
really we didn't know much about what was going on in the ocean. It took us 20 years of research to really begin to understand how devastating we were throwing garbage in and
Yeah, yeah.
overfishing and shark finning. So I think that jump starting of shark research, was an important thing. Hey, Sylvia and Liz, I always think about Dr. Sonny Gruber at the Rosenstiel School because he told Peter that uh, the applications in marine science had jumped 30% after Jaws. So
Wow.
yeah, so it was a really quick, immediate jump to sort of. Is that what you experienced too, Sylvia, as you were going along? Did you find that people were scared but still fascinated and interested?
When when the film first came out, there was like a preview showing for the Boston Sea Rovers
Ah, yeah.
in Cambridge, and I was one of the lucky ducks who got to sit there and watch not only the film, but the reaction of these cool, seasoned divers who were skeptical about the theme because they had come to see sharks through their experience and didn't
Hmm.
hold the kind of attitude of fear that so many people had and still do have, even more today, perhaps. So when the film ended, I remember they kind of patting Peter on the back and saying, "Good luck with that. nobody's going to really believe this
Right, right.
because they
So
did.
interesting.
Yeah,
And then of course the film was an absolute sensation,
yeah.
and people were afraid to take a bath
Yeah.
And a
or shower.
get in the pool, But
I know, I know.
There,
Well, we also had a private showing in New York. Um, and Ron and Val were there, Stan Waterman, I
yes,
think maybe Peter Gimbel.
could
I'm
be
yeah.
like
And they actually thought, holy cow, this is this is really scary. This is going to be really good.
yeah.
So Peter was so nervous having his best dive pals in the room to see this film,
Oh,
afraid that it was just going to be a disaster. And so he was pleased and relieved that they thought it. Anyway, lots of history here, lots of pros and cons, but I think the the main result was that yes, it caused fear, and yes, it's a scary movie, but it did really get people interested in sharks. And now with the 50th anniversary, my gosh, I mean, sharks are right up there. People thinking about them. Every time I give a speech, people come up and say, "Oh, I just love sharks. I just want to know more." So it's great to have that platform to
yeah.
keep the interest going.
And also thinking about, just the engineering that was involved, right, in creating the shark and or sharks, uh,
Yeah,
all the Bruces,
yeah,
and thinking about trying to do that in the 1970s with technology at that time compared to what we have today
yeah.
in terms of robotics.
Yeah, if people are interested, the documentary that I worked on, I was so pleased and delighted to be and one of the executive producers. But this documentary called Jaws at 50, The Complete Inside Story, does go into a lot of that detail about the making of the movie, but also Laurent Bouzereau, the director, uh, talks about the positive effect of Jaws and gives some bouquets to Peter and me for some of the work that we tried to do to help educate people about
Yeah.
sharks. So yeah, so I'm very pleased with the documentary in the very even-handed approach and the more expansive approach that
Mhm.
Laurent and the National Geographic did for the documentary.
This is an amazing picture. You have the pink.
I know.
It looks like it's kind of made out of some cattle panels or something. And
So
uh,
that picture is oh gosh, we did have adventures, Peter and I. So this was one of our first, absolutely our first dive with great whites in 1974, and it was before the movie came out. ABC Sportsman called Peter and said, "Yeah, okay, big fella, you've written this book about a great white shark. Do you want to go
let's
see what
go.
they're really
Yeah.
like?" Yeah, and so Peter and I both said, "Yes, we do." And off we went to Dangerous Reef. Um, and in those days, Sylvia, I'm sure this happened to you a lot. Women were not so welcomed on boats.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yep.
It's like a banana.
70s, in the 70s, yeah. So they banished me to the upper deck, and there was a horse. That's what they used for
Oh,
bait. They had sort of half a
no,
horse. It was really gruesome, gruesome. Half a
that's
horse and then lots of chum. And boy, the stench was just hideous. And
terrible.
so Peter got into the cage over the side, and the shark, it was a nice big female, big fat female shark. She came up to take a bite of the horse and got the line that attached Peter's cage to the stern of the boat caught between her teeth. Okay, she didn't sever, but it
Flossing.
was
Yeah.
caught. And so she was furious and whipped around up and down, dragged Peter's cage under the boat. Poor Peter. And then up it came again, and I was screaming from the upper deck, "Get the rope out of the shark's mouth, for
Now,
God's sake!"
I looked at that
And
rope back. Wait, I'm going to go back. I looked at that rope and I'm like, that is
Yeah,
so flimsy.
there it is. Yeah. So so I don't blame the cameraman because honestly, they had never seen anything like this before. So how were they to know? For all they knew, it was exactly what should be happening. But boy, I could tell as a wife that that was not good.
Yeah,
So I came down. The next time the shark came up to take a bite, I came down from the upper deck. The shark came up. I grabbed the rope. I yanked it out of her mouth, and all was well.
very good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yay. Yay. So
Shark was happy,
You're
the
happy.
shark was happy.
relaxed with it. Yeah,
Yeah, Peter stayed down for another half an hour and just was awestruck when he came up. Um, he, that was he recovered quickly. I thought he was quite a miracle man to recover so quickly. By that time, I would have been saying, I want out of the water.
yeah, yeah. Not going
Yeah.
back in.
But no, but he stayed down for another half an hour and really was so in awe of this beautiful, beautiful great white
They
shark
are
that
just gorgeous animals, and we see the
they
same
are.
experience when we get people into a submersible for the first time, that
Hmm.
they just see things in a whole different way, and especially if they get some kind of a large animal like a shark or a mola mola or something that comes through
Yeah.
swordfish. They're just fundamentally changed by the experience, and they see that just complete new world opening up.
Well,
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. The more we can get movies out there showing people and um, you know, um, I'm just thinking of my best time with a great white shark is when we had our 40th wedding anniversary. And Peter asked me what I would like to do. And I said, boy, honey, I just would love to go someplace where I can see great white sharks. Because always when I was on expeditions with him, he was the talent, right? So by the time I got into the cage, I would just see a tail, swimming away. So, this was the most wonderful trip. We went out to Guadalupe, and I, had five or six beautiful great white sharks swimming around the cage. So I see you're whipping to these. That's an old picture of me. So I was a Princeton Borough Councilwoman for 10 years, and I did a lot of work environmentally, and this got me into public life, into government life, because I spent 8 years trying to keep an incinerator from going up in Trenton, New Jersey.
Oh wow.
wow.
And yeah, yeah. And then I was elected to Princeton Borough Council and worked a lot on many different issues.
Here
So
it was. Yeah.
yeah, there it is. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was a fascinating job. People had said to me, "Oh, Wendy, I was a Mercer County freeholder, which is like a councilwoman, and they said, "Oh, you've got to run for Congress." And I said, "Yeah, I don't think I need to run for Congress. What I like is more hands-on work." And so being on Princeton Borough Council was much more hands-on. And I think that's always been, I like grassroots action
Yeah.
environmentally and with the ocean. So that's also why I think I've always sort of stayed on smaller boards. Like I'm on the board of Wild A, which is
Yeah.
a small, a small,
Right.
very agile organization that can get
Yeah.
right to yeah.
Right to the quick, and it's
They're great at real marketing. I
yeah,
mean, marketing the truth.
marketing the
Yeah.
truth. And
Yeah.
it all ties together. I mean, kind of keeping an incinerator like that away, especially in a coastal community, where yes, you got to figure out ways to deal with plastics and so forth. But at that time, you're just releasing a lot of chemicals into the air, which is getting back
Oh,
into the water, a lot of the
yeah.
PFAS going on, and
Yeah.
it's all that blue-green interface that is so important to protect completely.
So,
That makes me think of I was on the Environmental Defense Fund board for almost 20 years, and EDF was the one who worked early on with McDonald's to get them not to build little incinerators behind every McDonald's store. Can you believe it? And they were going to burn all the clamshells, the plastic clamshells.
Styrofoam. Yeah. Oh, Thank
But
goodness.
EDF worked with them and they absolutely changed. They went to the cardboard clamshells, canceled the incinerators. Yeah.
And it's
So,
just,
So in the midst of all this, Wendy, 1980 was one of those magical so-called Year of the Ocean events. And I was in the thick of it for whatever reason and recall so clearly and so frustrating that NOAA insisted that sharks were underutilized species and
oh,
made a concerted effort to establish markets for sharks in Asia, since there was not much appetite for sharks in North America or Europe. But already in Asia, shark fin soup was nothing like what it is today.
mhm.
wow.
It was a
That is just startling and horrifying.
big campaign to connect the sharks on one side of the world with markets on the other side, and it worked
Yeah,
too
too
well,
well,
very well.
very well.
With the notoriety and the awareness that people had because of Jaws, and it just was a collision that has spelled disaster for those
Mm, mm, mm.
innocent creatures.
Well, even
Yeah.
the even in the school lunch program, I remember reading about how, oh, we're going to get spiny dogfish, or we're going to get soup fin sharks, we're going to get the small sharks
Ah,
in there because they're so underutilized, and we can use them in the school lunch program. What are you doing? This is wildlife. This is not like a
oh my.
protein. You cannot feed
The, shark,
thousands or millions of people with wildlife. It
the
just,
ocean needs those sharks, as
yeah.
you know.
Mhm. Oh, yes, yes, yes. I have never heard that, Sylvia. That's so fascinating about Noah. And of course, that's one reason why Peter and I um, started to support Wild Aid because they were working on shark fin soup in Asian countries and especially in China. And we actually, I sent you a couple um, videos of some of the ads that Wild Aid has used with Jackie Chan or Yao Ming or Maggie Q to change the culture in China. And it's really a absolutely magnificent story because Wild Aid has been working. Well, Peter and I first went with Wild Aid to China in 2000. And then when Peter died, I went on the Wild Aid board and have stayed with them. And their campaigns in China have brought the demand for shark fin soup down by 85% in the last 10, 15 years. So it takes a while for these cultural changes to happen, but Wale does a great job of educating people, and they get hundreds of millions of dollars of free advertising space and screens in China. So we do get support from the Chinese government for these
People,
programs.
people cannot care if they don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Marketing the truth is something that we really need to promote. World Aid is one of the few who really makes a point of doing just that creative marketing that makes you laugh
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
ways
Yeah.
they tell the stories. But
Yeah.
it,
It really works. And then we're seeing, like in this image, we're seeing some whale sharks, and everybody, it's amazing to see the just the shift in attitude around the whale sharks, and now they're just sort of like major tourist attractions in so many places. People
well,
want
Yeah.
experience with a whale shark.
well, think about, Wendy, what happened with whales. Whales were just products through most of our history with whales. There's something to eat, something to sell, turn into fertilizer. You grind up the bones for the phosphorus. Anyway, but as people came to know them and care about them, I was on the International Whaling Commission for 4 years. And to hear those who wanted whales dead the arguments they give, well, what about cows? You eat cows, why not just it's the same thing with whales, they're just big animals.
Oh my God.
And
Yeah.
marketing untruths
Hmm.
and just to promote their point of view. But
Hmm.
and look where we are in 2025. The many reasons to put a much higher value on a live whale than a dead whale.
Hmm.
And it's not just whale watching. And the same is true increasingly, but not nearly as completely, with sharks. I mean,
Oh,
Palau protects sharks throughout their entire exclusive economic zone.
hmm. And
Uh,
Maldives
and the
was
Bahamas,
what Maldives was, but now they're thinking about
yeah,
lifting restrictions
on
on
Oh,
some of the
that
species.
is just such a shame. And I know that there were so many people writing in and voting, and so I would hope with enough international pressure they might,
it might,
Might make it
protect
step.
them again. And still, I mean, economically, it's such a draw for
yeah.
them to have sharks. Oh, here.
Let me
Uh-oh.
see how shark fin
Here it
soup
is.
is made.
Yeah,
You can see how each year up to 70 million sharks are killed to end up in soup. Could you still eat it? A third of all shark species are nearly extinct, but we can help save them.
Remember, when the buying stops, the killing can too.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that did happen. I mean, oh, here's another one. This is Maggie Q.
Go back.
Oh,
Sorry. Wait.
if you go.
There we go. Come on. Oh my goodness. It's gonna be.
Can't get it to go.
Let's see if it's gonna.
Yeah, these ads that are really educational and do tell the truth.
There are plenty of ways to impress a beautiful woman. Buying her shark fin soup just isn't one of them.
Yeah, it.
Yay.
When the buying stops, the killing can too.
It was a little staccato in the presentation, but those are the kind of ads that Wild Aid just blankets the country with,
Yeah.
and they do change the behavior. And we worked on elephant ivory also.
Yeah, I remember
And
those.
yeah, yeah. So we're now working in continuing in China and then also other Asian countries because as you know, the sharks are still being slaughtered by the hundreds of millions, and now there's a lot more of countries just eating shark meat.
Yep.
Um,
Sure.
and it's not just Asian countries. I mean, it's Italy and Spain
It's
and
market.
Brazil. Yeah,
And here in the United States, we still have it.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's become, well, we've got to make it cool to care
yeah.
instead of cool to kill.
And a
Yeah.
lot of the problem as well is just the lack of
Understanding.
truthful labeling,
Yeah,
right? Because you'll
that's
say,
true.
Captain's platter, fish of the day,
Fish and chips.
yes,
fish and chip,
exactly.
and you have no idea what species it is, where did it come from, how many thousands of miles has it been transported,
Or the
how is
fact
it?
that it's wildlife.
And it's wildlife. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
But
Oh, that's oh gosh, we were so lucky. So I am now married to a marvelous man, John Jepson. We've been married for 15 years and we live in Washington, D.C. But we had a chance to go to Missoula, and Missoula was absolutely staggering in the proliferation of marine wildlife there. And you all may know that of course it was started with the help of many organizations, but it was started by two divers who saw that there was a lot of shark finning going on, and so they talked to the village chiefs, and of course the village chiefs were absolutely understood that they needed to get rid of these shark finners and let the ocean come back again, thrive again. So Misul is just a beautiful example of a marine protected area that is really protected. Um,
Right.
yeah, and where uh, the shark finners actually they hired many of the shark finners to then work at Misul Eco Resort,
Mhm.
and they now employ many hundreds of people to keep the resort going, and I think the biomass increased by 250% in about
Incredible.
6 to 8 years.
That's incredible. It's kind of like Cabo Pulmos, and then we've seen it also in Isla Mujeres, where they hired the shark fishermen to become ocean
Yeah.
guardians, ocean masters.
You can make a better living, more consistent, less risk,
Yeah,
and
Yes.
works.
yeah.
Save the reefs.
And
Yeah.
you were just in Thailand and with the coral gardeners,
Yeah.
and she sent pictures, and I was looking at the picture, like, okay, where are the fish?
Gone.
They're just gone. And
Gone.
they're like trying to get these little pieces of coral to grow again. But there was nothing like this where you have the complete system of the grazers and all the other animals that are important to the reef health. And we're like, no reef, no fish, no fish, no reef.
Well, think about the lionfish explosion in the Caribbean,
Mm-hmm.
now moving up in the Atlantic. The predators have all been extracted. The sharks, the big grouper, the big
Mm-hmm.
snapper. You see small fish, but coral reefs need sharks. They need the grouper. They need the snapper. They need all of the fish. But that meant that the space was open with nobody to munch on those lionfish, and so they have been given a break.
Yeah,
And
yeah, exactly.
they're
Yeah,
up.
you know, um, I'm just thinking about the marine protected areas and your wonderful hope spots and pristine seas and everything else and and our work trying to get to 30% of the ocean by 2030
At
in
least.
marine protected areas.
Right.
And that makes me think about the UN and the High Seas Treaty,
Mhm.
that to me is a really hopeful sign. I mean, I thought it was extraordinary. I know they've been negotiating this for 20 or 30 years, but that they actually did get it signed and get the 60 countries in there who needed to be in. And so now, obviously, the hope is that countries will band together and create really protected areas in the high seas for lots of the migratory
Right.
fish. Yeah,
Yeah, those wildlife corridors that we see on the land are just as important in the ocean, maybe even more so. And
yeah,
where we protect areas for, big sharks and mantas and other, sea turtles, all these animals, we're protecting so much more.
yeah. And I think one of the most exciting ones, and the huge one, is off the coast of Central and South America. Um, so if we could do that in a few other places, maybe in Indonesian waters or something on that, think of what a benefit that would be to give huge, huge swaths of the ocean a chance to thrive and generate and propagate new fish and let them get bigger. And then
Yeah.
they'll swim out and we can catch them and eat them.
Yeah.
That's really
Yeah.
why we
Yeah.
should not be trying to make a business of eating wildlife. We don't eat
Yeah,
songbirds anymore.
Yeah.
We don't
yeah,
treat eagles and owls as vermin anymore.
yeah.
We protect them because we need them.
Yeah.
And we need the fish in the sea. We need the sharks. They should all be protected.
Oh, they should be. Oh, yes,
I
yes, they
Totally
should.
agree.
So
But
I see you have a slide up here
I
for
do.
the Peter Benchley Ocean Awards.
Tell us,
Um,
how did that come about? How did you start the Benchley Awards? And
oh,
I'll
that was, yeah,
remind everyone out there, the nominations are now open. Still
yes,
open through December the 3rd. So
yeah, and we might have to extend that. So don't be dismayed people, if you know anybody, please send in a nomination. I'm really just thrilled that the Benchley Awards are back again, and Sylvia's on the selection committee. Thank you, Sylvia. And
Prior winner, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So actually, David Helvarg and I started the Benchley Awards to honor Peter, and it made great sense because Peter and I, like you two, met so many people from so many different walks of life, government, youth, grassroots, photographers, writers, and they're all needed to make an impact on the ocean. So we do have 8 categories, and it's a wonderful thing when the Benchley Awards happen to watch the interaction of people who don't get to see each other because they're sort of in different lines of work, but the synergy and the enthusiasm that comes from being able to be together for this ceremony and before it and afterwards is really wonderful. And the Aquarium Conservation Partnership are the ones who said they would like to take it over and run it again. So I'm
Great.
obviously David and I are helping them, and Sylvia and Jane Lipchenko and all many different people. So it's
I'm glad it's back too, and it's really good to have the involvement of aquariums because it's sometimes that's the first and only place that people get any kind of introduction to fish and see them as
Live.
a live fish instead of seeing it sort of shrink wrapped in the frozen food section.
yes. I am all for live aquariums where they actually get to see fish swimming around. Um, and I think sometimes that gets controversial, but we don't have to go there.
Yeah, no, but they're little ambassadors.
Well, the best aquarium is the ocean.
That's true.
Yes, right, Sylvia. That's a
Not
very good point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with
But
everybody.
everybody can't get under the waves, under the surface. So the next best thing is to have aquariums where they can be fascinated and in awe and learn about them. And they're great teaching centers. For I think it's something like 40 million people go through the aquariums in the United States every year.
Yeah,
And they're
Yeah.
global. They're global.
yeah.
That more people go to the aquariums than all these fancy sport events, which seems
Mhm.
it's all day, every day throughout the year. These sporting events are occasional. They draw a lot of people, but they're not consistent every day. And it's really exciting. Uh, and Liz and Ian, her partner, are trying to make it easier to get people to go under the surface with their submarines,
Yes,
Mhm. Mhm.
democratizing access.
would take kids. Submarines are really safer than an automobile on a highway for sure.
I think
Mhm.
all three of these people that we're seeing
Oh,
here need to get down in a submersible at some point, don't you?
actually,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Oh, I know that Prince Albert would do it in a flash.
Oh yeah, he did. She has a way of twisting the flipper of people and come on in the sub,
Uh-huh.
you know.
Yeah. I do remember there was a big move, and probably you two were part of it, to get submersibles uh, around the world in order to get government officials into them so that they could see and
yes.
Yeah.
begin to understand why it was so important. So I'm not sure how that's working, whether submersibles have become too expensive and too.
No, they actually work quite well, and we we did we did kind of a mad thing a couple of years ago, and we built a submersible that's actually in the world's largest aquarium, and it takes 5 people, and people have just been amazed with it, so they see the
Oh, that's great.
perspective in an aquarium, but it was
Bob Ballard convinced the Secretary of Navy some years ago to go down in Alvin. Here's an admiral. Oh, he was Secretary of the Navy. He kind of knew something about the surface of the ocean, but he'd never been beneath the surface. And it was transformative. He really
Yeah.
it changed his perspective and got behind a major research initiative based on seeing the ocean with new eyes.
Yeah,
Oh, we need to do that more. Ah,
we do. And it's been kind of fun with some of the different submersibles that have been going down in deeper water to specifically to look at the Greenland sharks. And
mm-hmm.
these guys are, they live 450 years, something like this. They're some of the most long-lived fish in
And
the,
they're our fellow vertebrates,
but yeah,
if
and
they can do
Uh-huh.
why can't we?
what are
Why
we
can't we? Yeah,
missing?
what are we missing? But when they come up to the submersibles, they're not being aggressive or anything, but because they're kind of big and they're like a bunch of big dogs, and they start sort of jostling the submersible, and everyone, oh, moving around because they're
They're curious.
curious and but it's just been incredible experiences for people that have had that opportunity to just kind of hang out and observe these great big deep sea sharks.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
better alive than otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the sharks are just, they're so beleaguered, but they're just such keystone species in the ocean.
Mm-hmm. It's wonderful. So I wish we had thousands of those submersibles
Yeah.
with
We're getting,
thousands of people
that's a
like you, Liz, taking people down. That's what
Well,
we need.
Yeah, and I think that in so many of these coastal or island nations that we really need to bring newer technology in so that we can just get a much more comprehensive view of the ocean and monitor change over time, track rogue fishing vessels. Or when we did
Hmm.
conversations with Ian Urbina, he's really talked about these.
Oh, wonderful, Ian. Oh,
Yeah, but he's really doubled down on trying to figure out, the human rights violation piece, the exploitation piece, the environmental impact piece. But trying to catch these guys at sea is really tough, but we're getting better with new satellite technology and drones and just more direct observations that people report. So
hmm.
there's more technology being brought to bear in all kinds of positive ways to kind of help the ocean.
Yeah, yeah,
a bit like the early days of aviation, when everybody thought it was so dangerous to try to go up in the skies, and it
yeah,
was.
yeah,
Not today. I mean, there are still airplane crashes, but think how many people calmly get on an airplane, look out the window,
yeah.
and see the world with new eyes.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
We're right at that beginning stage now, early in the 21st century, where more and more there is access to the sea. Certainly scuba divers,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
only go that deep scuba diving. And most of life on Earth and most sharks live in the dark,
Yeah.
either most of the time or all of the time, the deep sea sharks.
Yeah, like the
Yeah.
lantern sharks and the
Oh,
some of the
yeah. Don't you love them? They're great.
beautiful animals. And so Wendy, what are some of the things
Yeah.
that people can
Yeah.
do to kind of help sharks? I know that we see, there's always sort of the fish oil craze and the
Mm.
squalene and your beauty
Shark
product,
skin.
shark skin boots. Like what are some of the products that people might have contain shark aside from shark fin soup that people aren't aware of, but they should be avoiding?
Yeah, I just urge people to look on the labels, and make sure there's not squalene in any of your makeup or anything that you do. And I was trying to find Philippe Cousteau's the name of his capsule that he does. That's a vegetarian supplement that does exactly the same as fish oil, so
Right.
that
Yeah.
people would stop um, buying fish oil capsules.
Yeah, fish
But I
oil and
couldn't find the
krill oil.
name of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
Well, the
we'll find it and maybe post it in the chat.
fish
yeah,
don't
that would be great.
fish don't
Yeah.
make the oils. They get them through what they eat, and what they eat, the phytoplankton. And what
Hmm.
Cousteau is doing is supporting the cultivation of the organisms that actually do synthesize the oils.
Hmm.
So you don't have to kill a menhaden or a shark or
Yeah.
squid or krill
Krill. Oh,
to
Yeah.
obtain oils that, to
there's
the extent that they have any value, either for their health benefits or for cosmetics. It's crazy that we
Hmm.
kill so many creatures for beauty
Products.
products.
Beauty products, I know. Yeah.
And you don't have to.
Yeah.
I remember telling someone to look at the label on their lipstick. They had some sort of little shiny thing, and I'm like, do you know it's actually
Ah.
fish scales that are making it glittery on your
Oh,
lip? They
good for
had
you. I didn't know that.
no idea, and she was like, ah, she's like, I'll never buy it again, and and stream to see that does a lot of the sun, the reef safe sunblocks and things. They actually now have a squalene
Mhm. Yeah.
that has nothing to do with sharks. It's all plant based and very very good substitute that doesn't bring any harm to sharks.
And I always think too that, I mean, that's one specific thing people can do to help with sharks and other marine creatures. But also I think people, no matter where you live, if you become involved in any land-based environmental group,
Yes,
whatever we do on the land affects the ocean. So they
100%.
don't have to, really do hands-on. I mean, of course, it's great if you do hands-on beach cleanup, or if you have some money and you could donate it to one of the marine groups. That's just very important to keep the professionals and the people who are in the field doing the work there.
Yeah,
Um, or join a club, you know. Um, because I think and I understand the yearning, people who really care about the ocean, they want to do something really hands-on that
right.
makes them feel satisfied, like they've done it. And um, and I always think also there are so many young people who say to me, and I know to you too, also, oh, I just really want to be a marine scientist, a marine biologist, because they feel that will be their fulfill their soul. But I also think that not everybody can go there and do
True.
that. And that it's just absolutely fine if you have another job, but you on the weekend, that's your avocation. That's what you do as your passionate avocation, because everybody can't be a marine scientist, but other
Everybody's
things you do help.
lives are absolutely dependent on maintaining the health of the ocean.
Yes.
I mean, it just doesn't matter how many people make their livelihoods from the ocean, whether it's non-destructive or whatever. Everyone breathes,
Yes. Yes.
benefits from the generation of oxygen, from the capturing of carbon, from maintaining planetary chemistry within a framework that is stable enough for
Good
us to
for
survive.
us. Yeah.
And we're pushing the edge.
We sure are.
Lots of edges. It's just
Yeah,
like from every direction.
100% of us need the ocean.
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes.
It's really the case, and sharks are just such they're the charismatic
Oh,
animals,
they are.
and
They,
increasingly people are just like they'll come into our dive shop and like, where can we go on a trip where we can
Really
be
see.
really see sharks? We want a sharky trip, and
Yeah, another very interesting thing that's happened is when I give talks, I always talk about Cape Cod
uh-huh.
because that is a success story. You know, people look at me and say, "What do you mean success story? It's hard to swim there. This is no good. I want to be I want to be able to swim where I want to swim when I want to." And so, but they do understand that we now are developing great white, the ocean as it was maybe 60, 70 years ago, or maybe 100 years ago, I'm not sure. So, I mean, as you all know, when there have been a couple incidents where great whites have been beached,
Oh
and
yeah,
people instead of, probably 50 years ago would have screamed and ran away or shot it or done something. But now they throw water on it and they roll it back into the waves and try to save it. So that's
like
a that's a
a
lovely
beach
thing to
whale.
see, that
Yeah,
that
yeah,
new approach.
yeah. So they're kind of treating it more like a dolphin stranding, where
Yeah,
people come together and try to get the animal back into the water, versus, oh, it's a horrible monster. We have to kill
right,
it
right.
immediately.
So
So
I mean, and that change in attitude has been going on for the last 20, 30 years, really,
yeah.
until now, I think. Yeah.
You
So,
had
so
you had the experience at Cabo Pulmo, where the little kid came up on the beach to you and was kind of just in tears,
Mhm.
right? Because one of the local fishers had several sharks,
Yeah, several kinds of
several
sharks.
kinds of sharks.
I've never seen a mako alive in the ocean, and they had a dead one sprawled in this little boat. And they allegedly were outside of the marine protected area when they killed these sharks.
Mhm.
It was just so sad to see the disconnect.
Right.
Mhm.
They really we're gradually getting over it. And bravo and thank you, Peter, and thank you, Wendy,
Mhm.
for just doing so much to make people keenly aware that sharks are not what we
They're not the bad
imagine
guys.
them to
Yeah.
be.
They're not the bad guys, no.
They're they're treasures, every one of them, and they're all each one is different. They all have faces. They all have different behaviors, and we need every single one swimming in the
Mhm.
ocean.
And we have two questions in the queue.
Uh-oh. Are
We're
you
going to
ready?
grab a couple quick questions before the top of the hour. So Betsy says her longtime dream has been to go in a submersible with you. Uh,
Oh,
and where could we do that? And I guess we have to say coming soon to French Polynesia. Uh, check out the honusubs.com. And that's
It's
going
a
to be
hope spot
the
too.
hope spot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
oh, how wonderful. So
yeah.
you'll have a sub in French Polynesia, in Tahiti or someplace?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
They're
You're
great.
invited.
coming very soon. So,
You know, Peter and I were there for two articles for the National Geographic. We spent a month, anyway, month one year and a month the next year. And
Bring
it
John.
was,
yeah.
yeah, really
And,
fabulous. Yeah.
and you're probably guaranteed to see sharks.
Yeah.
And now Emily says, despite being scared by Jaws at the age of 10, I'm grateful to you for bringing attention to protect these misunderstood creatures. Um, is there a sign-up sheet at the age of 56? I'm looking forward to seeing a shark in its natural habitat. Is there a sign-up sheet for submersible diving? Yes, on the Honu on the Honu site. And then Alan, just wondering if you had any suggestions about toxic algal blooms, and that seems to be killing everything in South Australia. Well,
I had shark nets in South Australia,
shark,
on
yeah,
West Australia,
yeah, the shark, the drum lines, things like that. I mean, all really kind of
South
ar
Africa too.
archaic, arcane ways
Mhm.
of thinking about dealing with shark-human interfaces. But the harmful algal blooms, I mean, those are all tied pretty much directly to what humans are doing on the land. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
All
treatment
And
of
kinds.
climate
climate,
change and the
yeah,
warming.
warming
Yeah.
waters, but also just those very nutrient-rich environments from agriculture, raw or poorly treated sewage, all those kinds of things contribute to it. So
Mhm.
I guess you can do what you can on the land to mitigate those
And the
flows.
thing is that climate change is anchored in biology. You know, we think about the physical nature of temperature and wind and planetary chemistry, but Earth is alive.
Uh,
And
mhm.
we have climate because the ocean is not just water. It's a living system that captures carbon,
Mhm.
generates oxygen, shapes planetary chemistry. So whatever the issues about changing the nature of the earth, it anchors back to the fact that we have clear-cut forests.
Hmm.
We're clear-cutting the ocean of life, from
Mhm.
squid to krill to sharks to cod to you name it. And we have to do what we can while we still have wild places and restore. I mean, I love the fact that there's this initiative to plant 1 trillion trees.
Hmm.
One hopes the right kind of trees in the right places.
Native
Mhm.
trees, please.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no more
Yeah.
oil palms, please.
Yeah.
But the ocean, similarly, we're de-wilding the ocean, and we need to do what we're doing on the land to rewild,
Mhm.
to restore the corals and even sharks.
Yeah.
There's some efforts to grow baby sharks
And release them.
and take them back into the ocean.
Yeah.
Mhm. Oh, good. Good. I didn't know about that. Huh.
Well, the Seattle Aquarium is involved with connecting some tropical sharks that would likely disappear if this effort to try to protect where they live,
Mhm.
accelerate their restoration by growing the sharks up to a point where they can probably not get eaten when they're
Mhm.
Yeah.
see. And it seems, rewilding the ocean is not a bad idea, but dewilding it is a terrible idea.
It certainly is.
Yeah, it is. It is. But I do, as you always say, Sylvia, we have been making progress,
Yes.
and we will continue to make progress.
Yes.
I do think we will. And every time I get depressed about it, I also think of when you do have a fully protected and well-run marine protected area that the ocean comes back. So
Yes.
so that's just a wonderful thing. I mean, the jungle takes a long time to come back,
It
a
does.
100 years or something, but the ocean can really come back pretty quickly.
But not for 100-year-old fish or turtles.
That's
No, no, true, true, true. That's
See
true.
progress
Mhm.
very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's encouraging that you can see evidence in your lifetime.
Yeah.
Little kid can grow up looking at how what he or she what they actually do can make a difference.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Those
Yeah.
are true causes for hope.
Yeah, it makes me think of changing baselines. I don't know whether we want to get into that, but the changing baselines concept, and that the reverse of the changing baseline is that people, if you go and look at a marine protected area, you can see what you should have been seeing all the way along.
That's
You know,
right. 50
yeah.
years ago.
Mm.
So, well, we are up at the top of the hour, but
Oh,
before we close
this has
today,
gone so fast.
I know. So we
Yeah.
want to say thank you, everyone, and
Do it
Wendy,
again.
to Wendy and our producers, and elders, and mostly to everyone out there in the dive-in community who shows up and participates in these conversations. Water connects us all, and we're incredibly grateful to everyone. And think about being grateful to the ocean too, especially this week.
Yeah.
And we're going to be back next month. And until then, remember,
We have to take care of the ocean
as if our lives depend on it.
because they do.
They do.
I
And
like
thanks,
that. I
everyone.
like that. Yeah. Thank you all so much. I'm really, thank you, Sylvia. Thank you, Liz. I just enjoyed it immensely.
You did too.
And here's to more progress in the ocean
Yes, and more
Yeah.
sharks.
and more sharks.
Bye,
And do
everyone.
another dive trip
Yes,
sometime
go in a sub.
in a sub. Okay.